So welcome everyone. Thank you for coming to our presentation. We wanted to present, we're all members of the MPA program, the Masters of Public Administration at Villanova, in one way or another. When we do introductions, we'll get to that. But we kind of wanted to bring in a different look in terms of how we have created community within our online program, how we've connected our on-campus with our online using technology in many different forms. And so it is definitely a pedagogical track, but it's also looking at the design of the program, the management of the professors, and the training and work with students, the social aspects as well that go into it. So it is kind of a different type of presentation, but I think very applicable to any program that's either starting or actually currently exists, and they're looking to blur the lines between an on-campus and an online to kind of get rid of the stigma that I think online programs sometimes have with being very exclusive and isolating. So that's what we hope to present today.
So welcome, my name is Ralph Gelati, and I have a couple of different institutional identities. I work full-time at Villanova in student life as the Assistant Director for Leadership Programs and Leadership Education, but I'm also a graduate of the MPA program and an adjunct instructor in the MPA program. And I'm also a PhD student in communication at Rutgers. So part of the presentation, sort of the theoretical introduction, is going to present some findings from a paper related to the topic of community and the MPA program at Villanova.
And I'm Stephanie Nissen. I'm the Assistant Director of the MPA program at Villanova. Also a graduate in 2011 with Ralph, coincidentally. And I did my undergrad at University of Arizona and then moved out here to go to grad school. When I was in grad school, I was a grad assistant, and I actually researched, this was at the very beginning stages of the online program, I researched and did some kind of environmental scanning to see what online programs were out there, because Villanova was just thinking about launching the MPA degree. So I kind of got a little bit of background knowledge about online programs that already existed, the type of programs that they used and how they administered. And so then when they decided to move forward with this online degree program, I eagerly applied for the position. And I work primarily with the online degree, working with faculty development. I also work with the professors in course design and course management, and I also work with the on-campus program. So.
And hi from me as well, and welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm Theodore Arapis. I am part of the faculty of the MPA program since 2012. I teach financial management and statistics. These great courses that all students like. But I'm very proud to say, very happy to tell you that my students, they do love the courses, both my online and on-campus students. Obviously because of me, but also I think because of the design and the capabilities that the online program has. So when my turn comes into presenting, to start presenting my sort of like slides, what we'll go through how I have designed my course, one of my courses, financial management, and hopefully this will give you a few ideas of the abilities that the online design, the online programs, Adobe Connect and so on have. So,
perfect. All right, so to give you a sense of where we're going with the presentation today, Stephanie's going to provide a brief overview of the MPA program at Villanova, and then we'll go through sort of what virtual community looks like and the ways in which it's cultivated through a case study of our MPA program at Villanova, and then really focusing on much of what you guys would probably be most interested in, the tools and strategies for actually cultivating community and designing the curriculum in this format. And then open the floor to any questions that you might have for us as well. How many of you are not from Villanova? Not from Villanova. Great. So welcome to this part of Pennsylvania if you're not from around here. Villanova, as many of you know, is a Roman Catholic university founded by the Order of St. Augustine. And we're really grounded on three core values or core ideals, which are veritas, unitas, and caritas. Caritas, or love, or community, is sort of a critical pillar upon which we stand as a university. So the framework for the program, but also the framework for this idea of virtual community, is very reflective of this core value of caritas and love. You can note the Villanova mission statement here, and we'll often discuss on campus, in meetings, in strategic planning sessions, the value of community. It's something distinctive that we try to pride ourselves on, but it's also something that we really try to accomplish through our everyday interactions with students and helping them to accomplish and achieve a deeper understanding of the intersection of faith and reason.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about the background from the MPA program, not just because I think I like to talk about the program and it's what I do, but also because it's important to understand the on-campus program and how that actually played a key role in shaping our online program. So the on-campus program is actually housed under HOS, Human Organization Science, originally in 1980, and then beginning in 1990, it became its own master's program, but it was housed under political science up until about, until about 2 years ago when we became our own department. When it was first started, we had about 10 to 15 students that actually specialized in public administration, and now our on-campus program boasts about 91 students who are enrolled in either our master's program or our certificate program, and that is our on-campus. So it's seen continued growth ever since it became its own department and since it became its own degree. So that kind of gives you just a background of just our on-campus program. Also here, what we tell students about public administration, kind of defining what the degree is, the organization of management, people, materials to achieve public purposes, and then also the mission. We're a very mission-centered program, and what I always tell students in orientation sessions is that the mission really has kind of shaped our curriculum, and it's also shaped just the program design, how we interact with students. And that basically is to prepare successful professionals capable of ethical, intelligent, and creative leadership in the public service. So it's just important to kind of understand how we were created as an on-campus program and how these pillars of our program really kind of shaped what we did online. I'm just going to move right through there. So I'm just going to talk briefly about our online program, just to kind of give you an idea of the platform that we use. We do partner with a company, Bisque Education, if any of you are familiar with Bisque Education. We launched in fall of 2012. We began developing courses in the spring of 2012. Fully online, it has no on-campus requirements, so we have two separate programs. We don't offer a hybrid, but basically a student can complete the program and all requirements without ever setting foot on campus. We have video-based e-learning modules, so professors, actually the design faculty that we have on campus, went to Bisque Education and recorded their lectures, the very same lectures that they give in their class in person. And these lectures are then loaded into our learning management system so that the students essentially are being taught by our design faculty, by our PhD faculty, because that's, during these videos is really when they're getting across the course objectives, the main points of the course. We have 12 required courses on campus. We offer a lot more electives, but online we only have 12 courses, but the 36 total credit hours, which is the same as on campus. We offer 8-week courses, so essentially the program was designed so that if you took 2 courses per term, we have 6 terms in a year, you could complete it in a year, whereas on campus you're looking at a 2-year. So. We do have a weekly virtual class component, so we have a synchronous learning environment in which students have to attend 1 day a week for each class, 1 to 2 hours. It's a discussion session in which our adjunct faculty who run the courses will lead this discussion session based on discussion questions from the readings, things like that, and the students engage. We use Adobe Connect as our platform to discuss the readings, to discuss questions that have come up throughout the class. And then they also participate in the chat board, which Ralph will talk a little bit about. So students are required to attend. Our attendance is pretty stringent. They miss a course, they have the option to make it up for a grade of C, and that's the highest that they can get. So we really encourage students to participate. Obviously it says synchronous chat room, asynchronous assignments. On their own time, of course, they have things like op-ed writing, memo writing, they're working on organizational change plans. They have the very same assignments that they would have on campus, but that is, they can do that on their own time with specific deadlines. We had our first graduate in September of 2013. He had a couple of transfer credits, so he was able to get out early. And we just got great news that he got a big promotion for the city of, at Ocean City. So we currently have over 250 active students enrolled in our program, and we graduate approximately 10 to 15 per term. So we usually bring in an average of about 20 students each term. So I also want to talk, I was here at the forefront of developing the program, and coming into the program, having been a student on campus, I knew what was very important to the program, one being community and maintaining that sense of community. I had come in from Arizona not knowing anyone, and I really felt welcomed into the community of Villanova. And I think I don't just speak socially, but I also speak, in my classes, I was able to engage in dialogue with my fellow students and feel very comfortable. I knew my professors. So there was really just a feeling of, being connected to the program, to the university, and to my fellow students. So I knew that that was important, and that was something that we really wanted to maintain as we move forward with this online program. But also because I think there is a stigma that comes with online learning that, they're isolated, they're not part of the university, they're getting some separate degree. And so as we began to design the program, these were some of the things that we took into consideration and how we could, not overcome the stigma, but perhaps, quiet it a little bit, and, make it as synchronous with our on-campus program as possible. So things that we considered, some challenges and considerations. We are partnering with an outside vendor. So this does automatically remove some of that personal interaction that you get with students. They're not working with me to do admissions, they're working with an admission rep from University Alliance. That's not how they're ordering their books, whereas I would have a personal interaction having students come to campus, sit in classes. I don't have that as much with online students. So that was an important thing. How do we kind of, overcome that initial obstacle? But also the division of responsibilities, who does what in this relationship, deciding, obviously we are program, we develop our curriculum, we teach our classes, and we have complete control over that. But in the admissions and getting the students, how, that's something that they control, but how do we prepare them to get the kind of students that we want in the program? So that was a huge thing to look at in arming them with the information that, would help them to get the students that we want. We are also accredited by the National Association of Schools of Public Affairs and Administration, NASPA. And if you've never heard of NASPA, the accreditation process is very lengthy and very intense, and it speaks very highly of our program that we are accredited. And because of this accreditation, there are certain standards that we had to maintain in developing an online program. Our classes have to be the same, essentially, as the on-campus and the online. They have to, achieve the same learning goals. They have to meet the same assessment standards, and basically have the same learning outcomes. So that was obviously a huge consideration going into this. How do we transpose our classes from on campus to online without losing any of that? And it's something that we're always working to maintain. We're making changes online, we need to make them on campus, and vice versa. So transference, obviously, of campus courses and curriculum to virtual environment. It's obviously going to be your biggest challenge. How do you find the technology that meets your needs so that you can have the same outcomes, you can do the same assessments that you would on campus? Which leads me to my next point, measures of assessment and condensed classes. Learning what's possible, I think, was a huge challenge. I know a couple of things, discussion board, but I can't measure everyone's progress in a class using a simple discussion board. So learning about how, we would take a normal in-class group project and transpose it to an online environment where they're blogging and they're creating dialogue that way. Also, adjunct faculty. This is a huge debate, and I think it causes some arguments, and there's still some feelings about who's going to teach my class. How do I maintain, that high level of rigor and challenge in my course if there's someone who didn't design my course teaching my course online? And that was something that we looked long and hard about, and actually we developed ways in which we can monitor the online adjunct faculty and the ways that we can make sure that they, in their classes, are achieving the same learning objectives as the design faculty would by preparing them with course resources. So basically, our design faculty, they teach the first class and they develop class notes, grading rubrics, slides for discussion, pretty much everything that you would need to know that is then handed off to the adjunct faculty so that they basically have a guideline of what they need to teach. And we don't do this to inhibit creativity. We have amazing adjunct faculty, but we do it so that the student who is in Ralph's class is going to get the same experience as the student who is in another class in terms of their learning experience with that design faculty. So we found that that's worked very well. It also frees up an adjunct's time so that they can dedicate a lot more of their time to being responsive to students, providing really detailed feedback, and really developing their creativity as they teach in the classroom. So that was a huge thing for us. Also, who do we hire? We went to our alumni first. They've taken the classes, and we found some great results with that. But also our program is very practical based, so we're looking for people who have experiences in those areas that they're teaching. And you'd be surprised, there are some awesome adjunct faculty out there. Use of new technology, obviously. We have some faculty members that hadn't really had a lot of experience with technology, so how do we introduce them to the technology without it being overwhelming, without them becoming kind of, resentful towards the technology and not accepting it at all. So learning how to teach people about technology without distracting from the learning experience or the teaching experience. I put comprehensive exam up here because our program, we are not a thesis requiring program, we have a comprehensive exam at the end. This became a huge debate because normally the students take it on campus. They come into a room, they have 3 hours, they take the exam. We realized this is not feasible for an online program. So this was something that we really focused on developing. We actually now use Blackboard for our comprehensive exam. We do not proctor the exam. It is open book, open note, but they are required to cite, they are required to compose responses that are free of grammar errors and really just show what we want to show, which is that they understand what they've learned. And we actually brought that to our online or our on-campus program. So now both programs take it online. They have a 24-hour window. Once they start the exam, they have 3 hours to take it. We run everything through Safe Assign, and it's actually worked very well. So a huge point is to maintain. When we developed the proposal for our online program, one of the things that was mentioned was that we needed to maintain the strong on-campus presence. We couldn't just shift everyone off to the online program and make it so that, well, I'm just going to take the online program, it's easier. So distinguishing between the two, but also just focusing on building our on-campus program while still building our online. So, we had to kind of look at how we could make the programs different. On campus, we offer a lot more electives. We offer certificate focus and things like that. We don't offer that with online. So not making, not to create a non-incentive for our online program, but just to, if someone was on the fence, to still say, come on campus, there are some benefits to that. And then obviously creating a sense of community. It was very important to me to connect the two campuses, make sure that the students that were online and not here still felt a part of Villanova and still felt a part of that community, because I think that really enhances the overall learning experience. And so that was something that we considered as well.
All right. So I was really nervous to teach my first class. My first class was public personnel management, and I had a whole list of great resources from Dr. Miltenberger. And I loved the class when I was a student, and I've since had a chance to teach Analysis and Research 1 and also Strategic Planning, which I'm currently facilitating. And something that struck me when I was teaching the first section, and it was that students who have never met before were sharing these really intimate comments about their experiences, their families, their lives, their hometowns, in the chat room with a diverse group of others that they have never met in person prior to that experience. So I was taking a mediated communication class at Rutgers, and we're looking at sort of the ways in which community is cultivated through technology, through communication. So I focused on the MPA program as a sort of a case for analysis and a way of understanding how, if we know anecdotally the students are having a really rich experience, what are some arguments we can make based on their comments and their conversations in the chat room? So a couple of theoretical pieces before I sort of pass it on to Theo, who's really going to really make this an applied presentation. When we think about community, I understand it to be something that is enacted or co-constructed, a group of people who are willing and able to help one another. And it's also something that can be cultivated and nurtured over time. Hampton and Wellman's work really looks at the impact of the online environment on issues surrounding that enactment of community. Does it weaken community with the internet? Does it transform community into an online virtual community, something distinct from that online or in-person presence? or does it enhance community and the existing social relationships? And sort of the thing that I argue in my presentation in my paper is that it's sort of a combination of the second two, that it transforms community and enhances community. Haythorne Thwaite's work is really, really instrumental in an understanding of internet communication in online environments. She raises the question as to what impact the internet might have on community and interactions of the other. A couple of characteristics for community that I really privilege: history, identity, mutuality, plurality, autonomy, participation, and integration. And that's Selznick's work on community. And then Schleier extends on this and adds an orientation to the future, technology, and learning. So the paper goes into much more detail as to what these characteristics are, but I really draw on two different theories in making the argument that the MPA program did a nice job of creating community for these students from across the country and in some instances the world. First is media multiplexity theory. How group members engage in multiple types of interaction using multiple media in support of multiple goals. So this is sort of Haythorne Thwaite's seminal theory in online community. I was really interested in how group members engage in multiple types of interaction using one media, the online chat room, in support of multiple goals. Her latent tie theory also suggests that adding network-based means of communication can, in fact, create positive, strong relationships between formerly unconnected others. The final piece of this is related to organizational identification. So one of the things that I'm really interested in are these students who are located at a Catholic high school and she's doing development in California. Does she feel part of the Villanova Pride? Does she feel part of the family? And one of the ways that I was looking at this and analyzing it were the ways in which community was enacted through discourse. The ways in which she identified with being a wildcat while in California without having a prior shared experience. So important that Steph hosts a really, really powerful and important orientation session for these students at the beginning of the program. But they have never met, for the most part, in person. So analyzing the data, I came up with these themes. The paper is now under review with the Journal of Public Service Education, but we're using it as a department to really sort of inform how we're cultivating community and also the ways in which we're facilitating conversations in the classroom. So after analyzing 200 pages of the transcript data and getting IRB approval, found 4 different themes that emerged from the data. One is sort of that informal discourse that has nothing to do with the classroom, related to weather, technology, family, work, and humor. And this is sort of those casual communication messages between students that's completely unrelated to the course content. Second is the content related to course discourse. So any conversation in the chat room that has something to do with the questions that are being posed in the classroom. These 2 pieces are the most important for the argument paper. Peer support discourse. So these students, I chose 2 different classes, one at the beginning of the program and then one closer to graduation, and to see how the students were sort of supporting one another to offer their best comments, acknowledging one another when they made a really powerful comment, whatever it was. Again, never having a prior shared experience in person. And the program-related discourse and institutional identification. And these were those comments that really stand out to me about how proud they are to be a Villanovan, how proud they are of the MPA program. One student, in fact, just sent Stephanie an email that he wants to receive a license plate so that he can put it on the back of his car and drive around and show people that he is part of our community here. I feel like it's related to this 4th and final reason for communication in the online chat room. Next up is EO.
And like I said at the beginning, what I'm going to do is just walk you through how I have designed my online class. In particular, I'm going to walk you through my financial management course. And there you're going to see all the different things and approaches that I have. I'm a faculty and I have responsibilities both at the on-campus program as well as the online. So at some point, you will see also a comparison between the things that I do for my on-campus classes and the online classes. Like Stephanie said, it's because of the NASPA accreditation, it's very, very important for us to keep consistency between both on-campus classes and online classes. And to tell you the truth, that was one of my stresses as well as a new faculty member. And Villanova is my first academic job. So I was very, very, very concerned to see how I can feed all the material and the things that I do within 16 weeks in an 8 weeks program. And that was very, very stressful. And my other concern was, what is the quality of the online students? Are they going to be able to follow all the things that my on-campus students do in 16 weeks within 8 weeks? And I got to tell you, I'm very pleasantly surprised, and I can tell you that the online students I find them a lot more serious and passionate and excited than the on-campus students. And you have to understand that the online students are sacrificing a lot of things. They work all day, they have family, and they come into the classroom at 8:30. And sometimes, in my class, they stay in there until 11 o'clock at night. They always are in time. They receive the grades without really complaining, or come by my office, trying to be sad and get like 5 points more or 3 points more. They look at my feedback, and they respond to the feedback. Things that I have not really seen by on-campus students. Sometimes I even think, oh my God, should I give all this feedback to the student? Because they go back and they do the research and they reply back to me. And that requires me to even do more work and reply back to them. So I'm very, very, very pleasantly surprised by the quality of the students. Again, the passion, excitement, and determination and sacrifices. So in the online program, and again, what you're gonna see applies to all the classes, but because of the attributes of my class, financial management and statistics, some of the things that you're gonna see here are more technical, but again, they show all the abilities that the online classroom has. So there are 2 platforms. First, we have the LMS, Learning Management System, and then we also have the virtual classes every week. Virtual classes, at least mine, they are for at least 2 hours. They start at 8:30, finish around 10:30. The Learning Management System, it's the equivalent of a syllabus for an on-campus class. So what you're gonna see there is the weeks organized, okay, the material, the readings, everything is organized by week. Students can see the discussion board questions. These are questions that students have to answer on a weekly basis, and shows whether their understanding. It gives them the ability to show off their understanding around the material. Homework, projects, and also online quizzes. Again, in the learning management system, the students see the video lectures. Pretty much it's the same thing that I do on campus, but I would say a little bit better organized and perhaps more fun. Because it's not a 2-hour thing. It's usually broken down into about, I would say, 10 to 15 minutes. So that, you understand, gives the opportunity to the student to listen to me for 15 minutes. If they get bored, they can turn off the computer, go get a drink, and once they feel ready for me again, they can come back. And then another thing that I have in my classes, because again, they're very, very technical, and I really believe this is my philosophy as a professor, that I really have to teach theory and practice. I really believe that practice is meaningless without theory and vice versa. So in addition to the video lectures that they cover the theory of financial management and statistics, I also have Camtasia videos. And Camtasia, I'm not sure if you're familiar with, but it's a software that all it does is captures the monitor, your monitor, and your voice. Not my face anymore. But they can see anything that I do on my computer, and they can hear what I'm saying. And why am I doing this? Because in my classes, like I said, are very practical. So the things that I'm using in my classes is a lot of Excel applications and a lot of statistical software such as SPSS or Stata and so on. And I find it very, very useful to demonstrate to the online students how I use this sort of like technology and how they can use them as well for the projects, homework, and so on. And you understand that this is something also that I do in my on-campus classes. Sometimes in the on-campus classes, I reserve 30 minutes of the class to show to the students how to do certain things in relevance with their project and how to use Excel and so on. In the virtual class, we're using Adobe Connect. We used to, before this semester, this is the first semester we're using Adobe Connect, but before that we're using Blackboard Collaborate. However, I'm gonna focus on Adobe Connect. It has some challenges, but I think it's a system with great capabilities and abilities and potential. I host office hours before the class and after the class, and I have found that this works better for me. The first semester, I used to have an hour reserved for office hours before the class, but I found out that it might be better to just have 30 minutes before the class so students can ask me some questions relevant to the material, and then reserve another 30 minutes after the class and give the opportunity to students to tell me whether I answered to their questions or has their understanding improved. Did we say something during the virtual class that wasn't clear to them, and give them the opportunity to come back after the virtual class and ask me again things and work together. During the virtual class, I designed PowerPoint presentations, very similar with, the PowerPoint presentations have nothing to do with the lectures. Again, the idea here is we're trying to not be boring and not, if you want, repeat the things that students, we assume, have seen and read. We don't want to waste their time. So the PowerPoint presentations during the virtual class are points that will, if you want, generate some meaningful discussion and give the opportunity to students to show off their understanding, experiences, and so on. Sometimes I use poll questions. For example, in the first week, I like to ask my students how many of them are having experience with government or non-profits or the private sector, so I can get an idea with whom I'm working. We also, the Adobe Connect also has screen share. I'm going to go through all these things and see how they look, okay, with Adobe Connect in a virtual class. Screen share is a very important function for my classes because, again, it gives me the ability in real life time to show them what I do in my monitor. And that goes once we get into statistical software or Excel. Students, they can see how I work, they can hear me, they can ask questions, they can give me comments, I can stop if I talk a little bit fast. And you know, I'm Greek, by the way, you understand that I have a little bit of accent. So getting this feedback out of the students is very, very important for me. Because sometimes I talk a little bit faster than what I'm supposed to, and sometimes things sound Greek to the students. So it's a good thing to let me know. File share, this is another very good, I would say, function of the Adobe Connect, something that we didn't have with Blackboard Collaborate. And what file share does, gives us the opportunity to instantly upload some sort of like file. Either these are instructions for a project, either this is an Excel document, an article, and so on. And students can, in the real lifetime, in virtual class, momentarily, instantly, to download it and save it into their computers. Then we have breakout rooms. I also think that this is of great value. I haven't tried that yet, but I hope to do that in a few weeks. And the way I see breakout rooms is simply you go into the virtual class and you create some groups of students. This group of students have a full, if you want, ability to work together. They talk, and then I can also give them some sort of like tasks. Like I can upload into its different breakout rooms some Excel files and give them some tasks to do. And this is something very similar with what I do in my on-campus classes. I like to do workshops. I have a lot of projects for my students. Projects very technical. One of the things that we do on my on-campus class is trend analysis or financial condition testing or forecasting of real organizations, either these are government or non-profits. But you understand, to make the students feel comfortable and confident and excited about the material, I also need to do some things and gain their trust, if you want. So through the workshops that I do on my on-campus classes, where I demonstrate things and then I allow students to do their own demonstrations, I have seen that this really helps them in order to put the time after the class is done and do the project and feel good about it and excited. So I think that the breakout room gives me the same sort of ability on the virtual class and the online setting. Again, before I have a project due, I reserve some time on my virtual class or my on-campus class. I break students into groups, give them different Excel sheets or tasks to do, allow them 15-20 minutes, and then we come back into the room and I hear the presentation or the questions. I walk through the rooms. I can walk through the rooms with a breakout as well. I'm not walking, I'm just clicking with my mouse, but I can physically get into the breakout room and see what do the students say, how do they work, do they have some questions to ask me, and so on. So I think it's a great sort of function. And then finally, chat room I think was covered very well by Ralph. And the other thing that I really want to say, and if you want to support what Ralph said, I was very, very surprised. The first semester, I remember, when I got into my virtual class, and I saw that students were really talking about each other, and they were connecting with Facebook, with Twitter, exchanging emails, exchanging addresses, exchanging experiences about their hometown. And I had students, last winter I had a student from Hawaii, and every time, and last winter we had this horrible winter. I'm from Greece, winter is not very good with me, and I don't like it. Even my wife, she's from Alabama, so we're not good with winter, but we're getting better. But I had this student, and we had this like amazing low temperatures. And this student from Hawaii, I still remember this guy, every beginning of the class, he had to let us know how nice the weather is in Hawaii. But again, this comes out again of the community that has been created, okay, through simple things on the online classes. And again, these are things that we don't really see on campus, inside the classroom. What I see when I get into the classroom is people on their iPad or their iPhone, or just being isolated, they're not talking to anyone, just sitting there waiting for the class to start. So that is really, really surprising. Now, how does the learning management system looks like? Here are all the different sort of tabs that we have. Testing and grading, there the student can go and see the different grades for all the different projects and our feedback. They can take their quizzes. Weekly outline, this is where the syllabus is organized by week. Live lectures, this is where we go and we set up our live sessions. As soon as we set up the live session, an email is distributed among all the students, let them know what time they start with, what time the class will start, and so on. Digital Dropbox is an equivalent thing as Blackboard. So this is where students are going to go and submit their projects or homework and so on. Discussion boards, self-explanatory. These are the weekly questions that we pose to the students. And again, they can write their sort of answer. We have our own email system, and we also have our own calendar that as professors we have to go and set up with the due dates and the things that the students have to do. Here is how actually, okay, the learning management system looks like. This is for week 1 from my financial management course. Up on the top, there's going to be the subject of that week, as well as what are the learning objectives for that week. Professor's notes follow, and this is a very important, if you want, aspect of the learning management system. This is where we load, if you want, the welcome message, and also we remind the students what are the things, okay, that they're supposed to do for this week. And I find this particular here section of the learning management system very important, because why? Because I like to remind my students what are the things that they want to do, so I can avoid things such as, oh, I forgot, or I'm late, because I don't want to deal with, getting things late, or don't accept these kind of things. And at the same time, I'm not getting very annoyed with people by sending them emails. So that's a nice thing there. And this is how things look like as students move. They have the readings. Here's the video lecture, okay, and also there's some sort of like interactive exercises based on the readings. And here is me. This is a video lecture. Some things that I like here is, first of all, they have a search engine, so the students can put like any sort of like word search, and the search engine will identify the time that I was talking about the subject matter. So they can like review that. Of course, you can pause the lecture, forward, rewind, and so on. But the other important thing of the lectures and this design here is that you see these white lines are very, very important. So these white lines mean that every time I change my slide, okay, a white line appears. So now the students can just click on specific, if you want, segments, and just transfer into the specific part, okay, that they want to review or so on. Here's how the Camtasia video looks like. Again, it captures what I do in my monitor, and here I'm just showing to the students how to do trend analysis and how to convert current from constant dollars. But I'm not going to talk about this because I understand that this is not financial management. But I just wanted to show you, okay, exactly what the students see. And this is a video. I think it's about a 10-minute video where they see the things that I do. And here we get into the virtual class. Again, here are all my students, the chat room, okay? And here is the PowerPoint. In this particular virtual class, we're discussing the differences between budgeted amounts and actual amounts, and how and what the variance means. You see students here raising their hands, and so on. And of course, you can see I have the ability of like drawing things or highlighting things, so it's very, very interactive. An example of a poll question, you can preset, and this is the other nice thing with Adobe Connect, you can preset, you can predetermine anything that you want to do to your class before the class starts. So I can go like 10, 30 minutes before my class starts, set up all my poll questions, set up all my files there, set up all my different sort of PowerPoints, and once the class starts, I can just upload them instantly, and I don't have to spend any time during the virtual class wasting my time when the students creating poll questions and so on. Here is again the screen share function, and again here I'm just showing again the students how to do the trend analysis. They see my computer and they hear me, something that I think they appreciate. I don't know if they appreciate seeing the computer hearing me, but it does make me feel better. And here's the file share function. Again, up here I have uploaded some Excel documents, and then I can distribute this instantly to the students. They can download them, okay, they can do their work, and so on. The breakout room, again, the idea here is, and something that we said earlier, is that we need to keep both online classes and on-campus classes the same. So I'm really trying to do the exact same things that I'm doing for my on-campus students in my online classroom as well. And this is sometimes is extremely challenging, but again, I'm very happy that technology, and particularly the Adobe Connect system does offer us all the things that we desire. The breakout room, again, it's the idea of creating a workshop. I discussed it a little bit earlier. We can break out the room, we can we can put the students into different groups. I can give them instructions, Excel files and so on, let them work a little bit. I can walk around through the different groups, see how they work, ask questions and so on. And then once I end the breakout room, we all come back into the virtual class and they can give them the presentations, they can upload their files and so on. So it's very, very similar with an online workshop, I would say. And here's the comparison between the on-campus and the online. Again, the on-campus, I have my office hours. During the class PowerPoint presentations, I might have some video demonstrations around Excel, I organize workshops, and then a lot of things, okay, are also uploaded on Blackboard. The syllabus, PowerPoint presentations, extra readings, homework, project, quizzes, and so on. The online, we're using Adobe Connect. Again, I have my office hours, so check mark. PowerPoint presentations, same thing with my on-campus. Excel SPSS demonstrations. In the learning management system, I pretty much cover anything that happens into the Blackboard. I have my discussion board questions, homework, quizzes, lectures, Camtasia videos, and so on. But I also use Blackboard as well in my online classes as well. And here on the Blackboard, what I do is I make available through e-reserves, through the library, the extra readings, so students can find them and download them easily. I have project examples and instructions. I have seen that students would like to see before they get into these sort of like complicated projects to see what other students have done. So I like to put good works and bad works. I also like to leave my comments there on the side, so students know what are the things that I'm looking for and they can adjust if you want their work. And then also learning activities. Another thing that I like to do once in the virtual class and also in the on-campus classes, every time that we do some sort of like technical demonstrations or workshops, the next day I sit down and I kind of like review the class, I review the workshop, I give students an Excel sheet with all the different instructions, what I did and so on, and upload that stuff on Blackboard, which I've heard that they're very, very helpful. And I can see that as well in the quality of work from the first semester that I started teaching at Villanova to today, after about 2.5 years, I can see how much better students' work is because of all these things, as well as how much less emails I get. At the beginning, my email box was like full of emails from students and questions. At this point, I'm very glad that students do the work without really asking me a lot of things. And here are some of my conclusions. Again, some of my concerns was, how can I do the things that I do in 16 weeks within 8 weeks? And that was extremely challenging for me, and especially because I was a new professor, new guy into this sort of job. I was extremely excited coming out of my PhD, and I thought that everything is important, and I thought that everything that is important to me, students need to learn that as well. So you understand that the material is a lot, but it can be done. Now, one of the mistakes that I did was to believe that my on-campus design will be the one that will guide my online design. And that was, if you want, a misconception and a mistake out of my part, because what I realized is that both of these classes evolve at the same time, both the on-campus designs and the online designs evolve at the same time, and both of them can benefit each other. So to tell you the truth right now, I have learned a lot more things out of my online design, which has been transferred on my on-campus design. And one of the things that I learned out of the online design is that I need to be accurate, is that I need to not waste people's time, and and efficient. So the technology allows for identical on-campus and online designs, and of course there are a few, if you want, challenges. I wouldn't say problems, but challenges. And the challenge is that the evolution is certainly faster on the on-campus classes, and now here the challenge is what is the way the online classes are, and the design of our online classes is. If we get some things wrong at the beginning, then we have to wait for 3 years to redesign the whole course. Yes, of course, you can do a few more things to fix things, and this is what I do in my classes. Again, because my on-campus class has evolved a lot, what I have decided, I have my virtual class, I'm going to spend a little bit of time in my virtual class to bridge the gaps, and that works well. And of course, there's a little bit of less flexibility in online classes, so once you design your syllabus and you put it out there, you really need to stick to it. You don't have the ability that you have with on-campus classes saying, oh, you know what, this maybe doesn't work, let me just take it out of the syllabus or so on. So I think there has to be a lot of thought before you design the online class. But again, you know, don't make the mistake of thinking, oh, you know what, I've been teaching for 10, 20 years, 30 years, I know my on-campus stuff, I have the design, let me just transfer it to the online. Both of these things are different. And that was it from me.
Okay, I know we're going to run over just a little bit, you have to leave. Totally understand. But now that we've kind of talked about things that are very specific to our program, obviously this is the platform that we use, this is the design things that we went into. What I want to talk a little bit, just briefly about is outside of the classroom. Obviously the course design, the faculty, the interaction within the classroom and how you build community amongst your students, how you connect with them is obviously very important. But I also think it extends much further than that. When you're looking at a program that has an on-campus and an online component, where you're connecting an online campus with one that actually exists, you know, in brick and mortar, I think you have to look at what tools, what technologies can I use to bridge the gap and to connect the two programs. And that's, you know, aside from training faculty and working with faculty to help, you know, create courses and give them ideas, a big part of what I do, you know, with the help of everyone I work with, is to build community that encompasses both. So, and this is something that applies, I think, to any program that's looking to go online or to create an online component. One thing I mentioned, building connections early. I think it's very important that obviously they're talking to that UA rep when they're thinking about enrolling, but also connecting them with someone at Villanova, whether it be me or the program director. So we definitely send out personal welcome messages to everyone who's enrolled in the program, just so that they are connected with someone at the university and they know that we care that they're part of our program. In every email and every you know, message that we send to them, it's always stated the word community. We welcome you as a part of our community. We're excited to have you as a part of our community. I host a new orientation session for all new students. So it's an opportunity for me to connect with them and to help acclimate them to the online world, but also for them to connect with one another. And I talk a lot about the university as a whole and not just the online program. So the you know, the policies online, the resources, or the policies on campus, the resources on campus, and I don't just specify online. Also, I host info sessions, like we host open houses on campus. I host info sessions online. So I invite students who are interested in the program, but maybe on the fence, or maybe have enrolled and they want to know a little bit more. I host an info session once every 2 months in between sessions that these students or potential students come to learn a little bit about the program, get to know someone who works there, and we found that they've been very successful. Also, one of the big questions that we still struggle with, and this is continual, how do you extend the resources that you provide for your on-campus classes to your online? A lot of them are easy because you're virtual, things like that. But things like a writing tutor, our comprehensive exam that I talked about, and also learning support services. I mean, as Villanova students, they are privy to all of the same resources the online students are, or the on-campus are. So you have to become a little bit creative with working these resources into them. And it's definitely a work in progress, but the fact is what it comes down to is you have to find a way to make these available to these students. Also, we host a lot of events in our program. A lot of lectures, symposiums, networking events are huge. How do we take these that we know that, Ralph's student in California or Theo's student in Hawaii cannot attend, and make them available to them. So with the help of the university and unit, we've gone to recording and live streaming all of our events that we host on campus. We send out a link to everyone and invite them to participate in the live stream. We also record and we have a YouTube channel for all of our events that we do on campus so that students can have access to everything that we do. I mean, we really do record pretty much everything. So we also send out an Mpa newsletter. This is the culmination of it's a bi-monthly newsletter, and it collects good news about students, whether they be promoted, got a new job, maybe had a baby. It also lists potential networking opportunities, also jobs in the area, and different events that they can participate in. That goes out to every student. It doesn't, it's not separate to online or on campus, and I think this helps to connect the students because they're seeing news that relates to all of them. It's not just online students, it's not just on campus, and I think you can find an opportunity to connect the two, whether it be through an email or through an event where you're not separating the two campuses. It's very important. Also creating opportunities to connect. We host an online coffee break where we have on campus, we have happy hours. Well, online it's a little bit harder. So we invite students to join us in an online classroom where faculty are, where other students are. They can ask questions, they can interact. But also Mpa Meetups. We do a lot of conferences. We have students that are located in specific states, and so whenever we go there, such as we go to DC for NASPA, or we went to North Carolina for ICMA, I contact all the students in those areas and then arrange, if they want to meet up with one another, and facilitate that. So that's been also very successful. These are just some of examples of what we do. This is our newsletter, just a very rough example, but also just one of our meetups in DC with some of just our online students and off-campus faculty. And then we also include our online students in both of our student organizations. So we have an Honor Society, Pi Alpha Alpha. We also have a student chapter of ICMA, and so they're obviously invited and welcome to join. And so this was our induction last May, which included a lot of online students, which was really great to see. We also are really heavy into social media. I won't say really heavy because there's a lot more that can be done with it, but it is something that we really work towards. I find that online students are much more active in social media with each other and with the university. And so we found that we really kind of had to up our game in that respect. So we utilize social media such as blogging and most communication. We have a Leaders Lounge, which is our program blog, which hosts all of our job opportunities, local and virtual networking events. We also have a career compass. So we realized, we're offering a lot of job opportunities in one specific area. The career compass is actually a Google map where if you click on your state, you'll find different job opportunities to that particular state. So we have someone that works very hard to do that. So it expands our outreach a little bit more and shows that we're cognizant that we have students all over the country and not just in Philadelphia. Also our Facebook page. It's getting there. You got to keep posting to keep the likes up, and we've been definitely doing that. And we find that when we thought Facebook was dying, it actually was kind of rejuvenated, and so we've been working on that a lot more lately. We also have a Flickr account. A lot of students want to see our photos. They want to download the photos from events, so we make that available to them as well. And our Twitter account that's linked with our blog and our Facebook that we find, not only connects students with the university, but also different organizations that we work with. So that's very important. LinkedIn, of course, having a group page is also just important for us to keep up with our alumni, to be aware of when they change a job or things like that. And then, like I said, our YouTube channel. And then, as I mentioned, online students and alumni are more receptive and responsive to social media. I am not sure why that is. I'm sure some study will come out at some point, but I think it's just because they're all in separate locations and social media is the one way of connecting them. And so I see them connecting with one another very closely, more so than our on-campus students. I think as Theo mentioned in his class, that different dynamic where you see each other all the time, so you don't feel that you don't have to put the work into connecting. And I think these students value that connection that they've made inside of the classroom, and they want to keep that. And so they're very active and very proud to be Villanovans. And this is just kind of an example of that's our career compass, and then our Twitter account. And then we're going to go. We had a testimonial really quickly. He's a student of ours, so we asked to do a testimonial about how he feels about the Villanova community, because I think that talks about, the kind of results that we've seen. So I just want to kind of works in California, by the way. But there's just that.
I'm learning in a renowned policy and administration program, you may be asking yourself, how could you choose to attend Villanova's online Master of Public Administration program? The better question is, how did you not? While I initially imagined a very cold environment lacking any collaboration or any sort of personal feeling, what I found instead was an enduring commitment to education and learning through a vast online system that included both recorded and online live classroom sessions. The staff, teachers, and students I worked with made my experience what it was. What I came away with were lasting friendships and a superior education that not only built upon my work experiences, but provided me with something I could be proud of and rely on as I move forward in my career. I am proud to be a part of Villanova's online education system. I am proud to be a Villanova Wildcat.
So, as you can see, I mean, that's just, what, and it's, obviously, we feel that we've been fairly successful, but there's, of course, room to grow. And I think that this particular area is something that people should really look at when it comes to online education. How do you create that connection and that community? And there are so many different ways to do it, not just in the course design, which is very important, but also in the facilitation of, other resources, social media, things like that. And, I think they're waiting to come in. So if you have questions, I'll be around and so will Theo. So thank you all very much.